Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
You're listening to the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER Facility and Property Management. CER Facility and Property Management is capable to meet the diverse needs of any organization where the built environment is a core enabler of the organization's strategy and operational performance. CER Facility and Property Management is part of the greater CER ecosystem of people-centered.
Good afternoon and welcome to the very first FM Talk Show. We are talking facility management. We believe this is the very first talk show in South Africa and hopefully globally for that matter. We're here to talk about the profession, about the industry, and we'll be broadcasting every 2 weeks, starting from today at 2 o'clock. And we do apologize for starting a few minutes late. And just thank you for accommodating us on the first broadcasting. So we'll have three sections. Firstly, news that has happened over the past week or two, followed by a discussion with one of our industry leaders and practitioners, and finally a bit of storytelling that's based on the journey that I took over January, which was to circumnavigate South Africa. And I'll be sharing some of the just life experiences, but also insights from a facility and asset management perspective. So getting on to the news, I thought that I'll just kick off firstly with just highlighting some of the milestones that's been achieved over the past 5 years. And one of these areas has been standardization within facility management. In 2017, we published the South African National Standard, titled the Strategic Facilities Management Standard. This was a first of its kind in the world. In parallel, there was the development of 3 international standards, the ISO standards. The first of those was related to terminology and getting a common understanding and language within FM. The second was contracting for facility management services. And the beginning of 2018, the facility management, the management system standard was published by ISO. Further to the standardization, there's been a lot of development on the professionalization front in South Africa. And the Industry Association, being South African Facility Management Association, has been appointed as a professional body for the facility management profession, and facility management designations, professional designations, has also been approved. So facility managers can now apply to be appointed as or to receive professional designations in the profession itself. So really getting to the same level of standard of professionalization as the accounting, the legal, the engineering professions. So certainly much has been achieved over the past 5 years, and we'll keep you abreast of many more newsworthy items. We'll be moving shortly over to our discussion with our industry leader and longtime practitioner, Cliff Hocking. I've known Cliff for, I would say, at least 10 years, but he's certainly been around for much longer. And I'll be asking Cliff just to introduce himself, so to sort of give you a bit of insight to the years that he's been in the industry. And he'll be talking to us about a few, points and interesting aspects that goes around the evolution of South Africa, the evolution of FM in South Africa. So, Cliff, I'd just like to welcome you and thank you for a bit of a hand-holding in our first FM talk show. Would you like to introduce yourself and just to give the listeners a perspective on your history with FM?
Thank you, Craig, and good Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the listeners. Facilities management has been around in South Africa for going on 30 years now.
Yes.
Must be
yes,
close.
Yes.
Must be close.
Yes.
But it's always been around in one form or another. We've always had the need for people to manage what is now known as facility management.
Yes.
And if one looks at where the sort of structure in the industry or the industry sector came from, it's actually not 30 years, it's only 20 years ago.
Yes.
I'm ahead of my time.
Yes.
Yeah. But in 1997, there seemed to be an awareness created of the discipline facilities management or facility management that had been growing in the UK and Europe and in the United States for a few years already. And it evolved or revolved around the outsourcing model initially. And of course, when the industry was sort of launched in South Africa, as I say, in 1997, we saw a lot of facilities management operators, particularly from the UK, entering the market here and setting up shop here.
Yes.
This was on the back, believe it or not, on the National Department of Public Works at the time doing a lot of talking about going a fully fledged facilities management route with all their properties. And of course, outsourcing was seen as the way to go, as it had been very successful in the UK. A lot of government ministries in the UK had outsourced their facilities management, primarily due to the fact that the UK government at the time decided to unbundle what was known as the PSA, the equivalent of what we have here as Public Works. And each ministry became responsible for the managing of their own property portfolio and so forth. So that was the start there.
Yes.
I was doing facilities management long before it was called facilities management. I go back to way back in 1978. I was part of a project team working for the Cape Town City Council that was charged with looking after and setting up things that you would now find as facilities management operations.
Yes.
This project team was involved in space planning, space optimization, sorting out the locations within what was then the new civic center, that huge concrete monstrosity that stands on the foreshore, and where the print room should be located, where the messenger service should operate from, where the courier service should operate from, where in those days where the typing pool should be, which round about that time became a word processing center. So that was the start of my life in facilities management.
Yes.
I then drifted through a number of general management scenarios.
Yes.
And in the early 80s, 1984 to be exact, I ended up at Toyota South Africa as the then admin manager.
Okay.
And part of the responsibility, it was more financially orientated, but
Yes.
part of the responsibility was a thing that was then known as office services,
Yes. Right.
which is a little bit of what FM is today.
That's right. Yeah.
So come 1997, or prior to 97, around about 96, somewhere thereabouts, with a lot of corporates talking facilities management.
Yes.
I was running an in-house facilities management department for a financial services organization, quite a large one.
Yes.
And it was gaining ground. The whole sort of things or philosophy of facilities management were being implemented. I mean, my secretary was the help desk without even knowing it. But instead of guys phoning me, I said, well, that's the number, so let's establish that.
Yeah.
And during 1997, as I said earlier, the outsourced operators started appearing in this country. I joined one of the UK-based facilities management service providers.
Yes.
And off we went
We've
knocking
got
on doors,
Yes.
selling
Selling
this
it.
outsourced thing.
Yes.
You know, and it's amazing how things have evolved, because at the time we were saying to potential clients, well, get rid of your non-core hassles and we will look after them. And jumping the gun a bit, but today facilities management is positioned itself as being a strategic link with
Yes,
any organization, which it has to be.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you know, it's sort of taken for granted. Or a good working environment is always taken for granted until something's not there.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's when it's noticed.
Yes.
So through the 90s, the first outsourcing models, or late 90s, we saw the outsourcing models. Standard Bank, South Africa, were one of the first to go with their downtown Johannesburg properties. Followed shortly thereafter in 1998 by Sanlam down in Cape Town, and the industry grew from there. Fortunately, the outsourced models started reflecting the importance of what facilities management is all about. The integration of all these bits and pieces.
Yes.
And as
Okay.
they say, the rest is history.
Yes. And Cliff, thank you very much just for giving that that insight. If there were three, call it highlights or milestones that you would say, wow, these were the great achievements of FM over the past 2-3 decades, what would stand out for you in terms of those achievements?
I think the alignment in recent years with business strategy has been a major achievement.
Excellent. Yes.
The adding value to organizations in terms of not only their buildings but their whole sort of infrastructure thinking.
Yes.
And doing things comparable with world-class standards. You know, one talks about things like international best practice and that type of thing. But if I compare what I've seen in South Africa in terms of facilities management service delivery and what I've seen in the UK and Europe and so on, we are with the pack.
Absolutely.
And at times we are ahead of the pack.
Yes. Yes.
My personal sort of things have been being involved in projects like what was then a brand new venture, Monte Casino in Fourways.
Yes.
What was then the brand new Nedbank head office in Rivonia Road in 2000.
Yes.
So you know, the airport in KZN, King Shaka. You know, every time I see those places, I still have a bit of a kick and sometimes a bit of a bad memory.
Cliff, thank you very much for taking us a bit back into time and bringing us, to the present again. And indeed, facility management is a strategic enabler. I always say that if you were really to look closely at facility management and the various cost drivers, it will most certainly be the third biggest cost category, after your cost of sales and your people costs. It is a significant component of the business, both operationally and strategically. So thank you again, Cliff, for joining us this afternoon, and greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
You have been listening to Craig Henry on the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER, Facility and Property Management. Tune in every second and last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. Podcasts are available on www.cerecosystem.com.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
Right, welcome back. The last section of our talk show is a bit of storytelling that will continue for the next few weeks. And it's centered around a journey that took over December and January. The objective was to travel the perimeter or the circumference of South Africa. Turned out to be a 12-day, almost 7,000 kilometer journey. And I really wanted to experience South Africa and at the same time just draw insight and energy from the facility and asset management perspective as well. So I'll be giving you an overview of the trip, and then each week thereafter we'll basically be taking each day or a section of the day at the time and just telling you what happened through that day and what one observed and the insights thereof. So I'm a solo sort of biker. I enjoy getting on my motorbike and touring as much as possible, and as much of that off tar as possible. So it's always been my goal to ride the circumference of South Africa, which is reported to be about 6,320 kilometers, of which our coastline is about 2,500. So my journey took place over the back end of December through to early January, and took roughly about 7,000 kilometers. But this journey started more than a year ago when I sort of went to the local bookshop to purchase the biggest, the largest wall map possible, stuck it in my study, and basically for a good part of more than a year just looking at it and wondering when are we going to do this journey, knowing that you need time and money to do it. But eventually the opportunity came around towards the end of last year. So the goal of circumnavigating South Africa is no different to any organization. You need to have strategic goals, but you also need a strategy to realize those goals. So, and that strategy comes with a roadmap. So my goal in terms of circumnavigating South Africa had a roadmap, and that roadmap was to start from Pretoria, head east along the N4 to Nelspruit, then gain northwards along the western border of the Kruger National Park, to the north, the northeastern extremity of the country, that's Bafuri, then basically to head westward along the border with Botswana, Zimbabwe, eventually getting to Uppington, and then heading northwards to the Huxley Pan, back down to Uppington, and then continuing along the northern border with Namibia, up until the Alexander Bay, so that's the northernmost town on the west coast, heading down the west coast to Cape Town, then along the coast again, the southern eastern coast, up to the the northeastern corner of what's the bay beyond Richards Bay. From there, along the border of Swaziland, getting onto the N4 and back to Pretoria. So that took all of 12 days, about 9 hours on the bike each day, and it was an absolute fascinating experience for me. So I'll be taking you through the preparation, and probably over the next 12 to 15 sessions to actually bring across specific insights, meeting people along the way, what one observed, just the absolute beauty of our country, and I hope that you will enjoy it as much as I have. So once again, thank you very much. Please do get in touch with us on our website, www.cerecosystem.com, or we'll also be posting on from LinkedIn, my profile, Craig Henry, also where you would be able to pick me up on the CER ecosystem company profile. Thank you very much again, and I look forward to speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time. Good day and have a great one.
You have been listening to Craig Henry on the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER Facility and Property Management. Tune in every second and last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. Podcasts are available on www.cerecosystem.com.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.